Alright, so this is the other assignment. So the first one we have to so now we're doing definitions of derivatives. Okay. So the first function we're gonna do is f of x is equal to x squared minus 3x plus 7. Alright. So he asked you to find the derivative by using the definition. So we have to find the limit of h as h equals 0 of let's go. This is f of x plus h minus f of h divided by h. Alright? So basically saying if you have 2 points, right? So the tangent line, if you have the slope from this point will be something, then we move it closer, say here it will be different, and then if we move it even closer, so closer, 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 so basically it's the exact same point. That's what we're trying to find. So we're finding the slope basically, or the equation to give us our slope, or in other terms, we're just finding our derivative. All right, so we have to plug in x plus h for x. So anywhere we see an x, we're going to plug in x plus h. So we're going to go ahead and rewrite this. So f of x plus h is going to be, well, it's going to be x plus h squared minus 3 times x plus h plus 7. That doesn't change because there's no x on there. Minus, and then parentheses, sorry, it's supposed to be x. F of x, which is just this. So always use a parentheses. That way you will not forget to distribute your minus sign. Even if it's positive, just write your parentheses so you can get in the habit of doing the parentheses. It just helps out. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and square this. So we get x squared plus 2xh plus h squared minus 3x minus 3h plus 7 minus x squared. Now we have a minus and a minus, so that makes a plus. Then a minus and a plus makes a minus. Alright, so now we have to simplify. So now we're just going to cancel out, or we're just going to combine like terms. So plus 7 minus 7, that cancels out. Okay. Minus x squared, positive x squared, that cancels out. Minus 3x plus 3x, that cancels out. Alright, so you're going to be left with 2xh plus h squared minus 3h. And that's it. Alright, and then divided by, it's going to be divided by h. So we need to find the limit of this as h approaches 0. Alright, so the key thing is we have to factor out an h always. When we're doing the definition of limit of a derivative, you have to factor out an h. So h, there's one h here, one h there, one h there. So we can take out an h from all of it. So this becomes h times, we took out an h from here, so we're going to be left with 2x. We take an h from here, we're left with just 1h. We take an h from here, and we're left with the 3. Divided by h. Well, you have an h on top and h on the bottom. What do they do? Well, they cancel out. Alright, so you're going to be left with the limit of 2x plus h minus 3 as h approaches 0. So what we're going to do is just plug in h. We're going to plug in 0 for h. Alright, so we're left with 2x plus 0 minus 3, or just 2x minus 3. Okay, so that's finding the derivative of f of x is equal to 2x, x squared minus 3x plus 7. You use the shortcut, this becomes 2x, and then you're left with 3, and that is exactly what we got. Alright, the next one, we're going to use, it said g of x, I think, it said, and it said 3x minus 5. So we're going to do the same thing. We need to find the limit of g of x plus h minus 8, g of 8x divided by h as h approaches 0. So once again, we're just going to plug in x plus h for x and just leave the x for the other side. So we're going to go ahead and plug it in. So we have the square root of 3. Instead of writing x, we're going to write x plus h minus 5. Minus g of x. G of x is just this, so we write the same thing. Then divided by h. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and simplify this. So we get square root of 3 times x is 3x. 3 times h is 3h. Minus 5. Minus square root of 3x minus 5 divided by h. Alright, so now we're going to do, well, you're thinking, alright, well, it's not a perfect square. You can't, in fact, you can't take out anything. You're right. You're totally right. Well, remember we did a little thing called the conjugate. So we're going to go ahead and multiply both the top and the bottom by the conjugate. Well, now we can't do the conjugate of h because that doesn't make sense. So we don't need that. We need the conjugate of this. So we're multiply by 3x plus 3h minus 5 plus, remember, it's just the opposite operation. Everything else stays the same. Because what since this is the same as top and the bottom, what we are doing, again, we are just multiplying by 1. And that is total legal math move. It is legal. It is perfectly fine. Okay. So now we're multiplying by the conjugate. So remember the shortcut. So instead of you doing FOIL and doing all that crazy stuff, we're just going to use the shortcut. And this is just this thing squared minus this thing squared. Okay, that's all you're going to do when you multiply by the conjugate. Alright? So we're going to square this. If we square this, the square root goes away. So you're going to be left with 3x plus 3h minus 5. Then minus, again, this goes away, 3x minus 5. And then divided by h times the conjugate. So that's 3x plus 3h minus 5 plus square root of 3x minus 5. Alright. So let's go ahead and simplify. So this becomes, I'm not going to write the bottom again. That's too much work. I'm lazy. So we're going to just do this again. So it's 3x plus 3h minus 5 minus 3x plus 5. We're going to go ahead and cancel out. So 3x minus 3x cancels out. Minus 5 plus 5 cancels out. You're left with just 3h. Alright. So now we have the limit. So what's all this simplified to just this? So the limit of 3h divided by h times square root of 3x plus 3h minus 5 plus the square root of 3x minus 5. Alright. Well, you have an h on top and an h on bottom, so what they do, they cancel out. So now you have the limit of 3 over the square root of 3x plus 3h minus 5 plus the square root of 3x minus 5 as h approaches 0. So now we're going to go ahead and plug in 0 for h. Well, we only have one h, and that's exactly what we want. We only have this h here. 3 times 0 is 0. So we're going to have 3 divided by the square root of 3x minus 5 plus the square root of 3x minus 5. Well, this is the same thing as this. They're both the same. So it's like saying x plus x. X plus x is just 2x. So this becomes 3 divided by 2 times the square root of 3x minus 5. Okay. If we use the shortcut, you have to do chain rule, which is perfectly fine, but we'll do that in the next video. So this is it for number 1, and for number 2. So go ahead and just give me a call or text me, email me if you have any other questions.